Hi guys, so I put a post up a little while ago, a couple of days ago, regarding punishment. The question was, do you use punishment as part of training your dog? And also, do you think I use punishment? Okay. Now, the answer to both of those questions is yes. Everyone uses punishment. Okay. Now, don't get confused about punishment. When the word punishment comes up, lots of little questions come up. So, on the post that I put up was, well, it depends what you mean by punishment. So I might do, I might not. No, you either do or you don't. Okay, there's no in between. So the level of punishment you use is just part of a moral compass. Okay, so the difference between punishing your dog in a normal sort of term, punishing your dog in an aversive sort of term, or just basically being a dick. Dickish training was one of the ones that come up. Thank you, Ruby Wellsford, for that one. I like that one. So punishment, everybody uses punishment. So it doesn't matter if you're force-free, whether you're purely positive, whether you're a balance trainer, a Lima trainer, an ex-security trainer, a dominance theorist. It really doesn't matter what type of person you are, you use punishment. Okay, and that's a very common misconception when someone goes, let's go to a force-free trainer or a positive trainer because they don't use punishment. Yes, they do. It's just they're unlikely to use aversives. There's a big difference between the two. So punishment itself, in a scientific term, dumbed down a little bit, is an action that you would do in order to reduce the behaviour the dog is doing. So, for instance, jumping up at you. Okay, you might push the dog off. Okay, so depending on the dog, depends if that's a suitable punishment to the dog, and then that will depend on whether that reduces behaviour. Okay, so everyone uses punishment. Everybody. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are. Okay, you could be Cesar Milan, Victoria Stilwell. It doesn't matter. You use punishment to a certain degree. Okay, as I said, the rest of it is just a moral compass. It depends on what you're prepared to do as a punishment. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you a little clip of me punishing Joey, and then after that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the difference of punishments and try and explain it a little bit better for you. Okay, so here's me punishing Joey. Get it? Yay, good boy. Good boy. Get it? Yay, good boy. Go. Up. Get it? Yay, good boy. Oh, good boy. Out. Get it. Good. Good lad. Out. Get it. Yay, good boy. Out. Out. Go. Okay, so, good boy. As you can see there, what I'm trying to achieve, good boy. What I'm trying to achieve is Joey not just assuming he can jump at me, because that's unacceptable behaviour. So I'm using two types of punishment when I'm doing this. Technically, I'm using two types of punishment at the same time. Okay, that's what I'm going to discuss with you now. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Okay, so that's two types of punishment we've got there that I'm using with Joey. Now, the two types of punishment are part of the quadrant. Some of you will have heard of the quadrant, some of you won't have. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the quadrant is normally known by people that have been involved in training for a little while, maybe trainers or something along those lines. So the quadrant everyone's heard of positive reinforcement, okay? You got negative reinforcement, and then you've got the two punishments. One is positive punishment and one is negative punishment. Now, the positive punishment is where everybody kind of winces at. Sorry, Joey's just being a knob. Positive punishment is where everyone winces at. So this is your, like, you know, the things like electric collars, spray collars, water bottles, things like that. Okay, even old school, like smacking the dog. That's positive punishment. I'll explain the reason for that in a second. And the negative punishment is things like withholding treats, taking something off your dog, things like that. They're negative punishments. So if you notice in my video, I'm doing both. I'm doing negative punishment and positive punishment. So the negative punishment is where I pull the toy away. So when he goes to grab it, I snap it away. Okay, so that's a negative punishment. And the positive punishment is my voice. So I'm going, ah, okay, just to kind of let him know, no, that's not what I wanted you to do. Okay, so someone actually did say, I don't think you use positive punishment, I think you only use negative. Actually, no, I use positive punishment, but I'm not a dick about it. There's a big difference. Okay, so I've got no problems in using positive punishment, depending on what that positive punishment is. So I'm not going to use things like e-collars, as you well know. I'm not going to smack the dog. I'm not going to, you know, scare the hell out of the dog or anything like that. But I'm going to tell him no. So some dogs, that won't make any difference. In which case, it's not a punishment anymore, and it's counterproductive. It makes no difference. But to Joey, the is enough that he goes, oh, okay. You notice in the video he wasn't scared, but he immediately stopped what he was doing. So that's a punishment. Okay, I've punished the dog. Now, what people tend to get confused about with the positive and negative is you think of it as an emotional term. Okay, so something positive must be good and something negative must be bad. And actually, no, from a behaviour standpoint, and this doesn't necessarily just mean dogs, human behaviour is also penned the same sort of way. It's a mathematical term. So positive is the addition of something and negative is the removal of something, basically. So if you want to humanise it, when I was a kid, if I misbehaved, I got a smack bum, okay? That is a positive punishment because the punishment would make my behaviour reduce. In theory, it didn't. I just found different ways of doing something. So the punishment is the reduction of my behaviour. So I didn't do that back. So I answered my mum back. So I didn't do that behaviour, or I started to reduce the amount of times I did that. And the positive was the addition of the smack. Okay. Negative would be like a kid nowadays, where they would take away the child's phone for the same behaviour. So they answered back, so the phone was removed. So punishment, because the behaviour would then reduce, and the negative is the removal of the phone. Okay, so that's humanising it. So again, we all use punishment, so don't get confused. And whenever someone says punishment to you, don't wince. Don't, oh my God, what is punishment? That is what punishment is. The rest of it is down to your morals. Okay, so whether you are prepared to use a spray bottle or an electric collar or hit the dog, okay, so that is a moral. I don't do any of these things, but I still punish my dogs for a behaviour that I don't want them to do, because it's the only way a dog learns. A dog must have punishment and must have reward in order to learn. Okay, guys, so I hope that clears it up. If you've got any questions, if I've confused you at all about the terminology, sorry, the sunlight, if I've confused you about the terminology, the positive, negatives, the punishments, if you've got any questions about the quadrant itself, I'm happy to answer them. Okay, but don't be scared to punish your dogs. It's the only way they learn. It's the only way anything learns. Okay, and it makes things quicker as well. But don't be a dick to your dog.